Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to this week's Monday message. And also welcome to almost the fall equinox, which is happening tomorrow. So we are about to enter into my all-time favorite season of the year. I have a big spot in my heart for fall. You know, it's the cold, crisp mornings, the low fog banks, the wet leaves, the color change, the foliage, all of it, the smell in the air of pumpkin and really things coming down to earth to nourish and rest and restore for the coming hibernation of winter before we do it all over again next year. And so as we enter the season of fall on the backside of what has been unequivocally a transitional and a threshold of a year, threshold meaning it's a type of year that changes you. No matter who you are or where you are on this planet, 2020 has most definitively brought things to your feet that have given you pause. Whether it's how you do your work, how you make money, how you do community, what you find you're so grateful for, what you found yourself letting go of, what you find yourself still longing for. All of that is packed in a year that I would call a threshold, where we're going from what was to what will be. And there's so many unknowns and uncertainties in a threshold year that at some point we stop planning and we start having a more resilient response to what is. We stop getting our hopes up. But I don't want you to stop getting your hopes up. I want you to take this season in. This is such an incredible time of year to go within, to think about what's coming to fruition, what's not coming to fruition, what weeds do I need to continue pulling as we move into the fall, but also introspection. What do we need to think about, reflect on, take pause for, breathe more life into? What needs a little bit of coziness and nourishment as we move into this new season? And so today's message is inspired by the equinox. And I want to share that if I could give you any encouragement right now, it would be this. So a quote for the equinox from Jennifer Loudon's new book, Why Bother? Highly recommend it. She says, "Your work is to blow on the embers of your longings and trust the dignity of your desires." Oh, such a good quote. It's just like dripping in sustenance. And it's something that you will do over and over and over and over. Blow on the embers of your longings and trust the dignity of your desires. And so even in a year like 2020, being that you are a human, being that you are a creature that is designed to move toward something, to grow, to evolve, to aspire, to seek, to be curious, to move, I would get curious about what is it I still desire? What's new in my desire? What's not new in my desire? What has this year made sharply clear, and what has it given back to me that maybe I was wavering about before? That being said, I've seen two pretty clear responses to the events of 2020. And this is out of the community. This is out of clients, students, community members in my own life, people that I work with, colleagues, mentors, teachers, authors, people that I follow, family members, friendships. This is just my observation. It's not definitive. It's not all encompassing, but it's just an observation. And as someone who does development work for a living, it's my job to take note what is going on collectively and individually. How are we experiencing that collective shift? And I've seen two pretty clear responses to this year. One is the relinquishing type. Those of us who have in some ways felt the need to throw our hands up and go, it's too much. And know that there's no criticism there. There's no fault there. You have to know yourself. This year might have brought to you that there are things you are pushing for or really desiring that maybe it's time to let go. Maybe it's time to take a pause, take a step back, try a different approach. That's not the kind of relinquishing I'm talking about. Then there's a type of relinquishing that really is born out of hopelessness and a complete buy into fear. These are people who have full on just quit. They've just walked away. There's a focus on defeat. They're using this year as feedback on themselves or a commentary on their own ability, which I think is so unfair because this year has affected everybody in some capacity. And it's not about your personal sense of self this year, but you personally have to respond to the events of this year. I've seen a lot of people stop trusting their government, stop trusting their community, stop trusting themselves, stop trusting their desires, stop trusting their hope. And I've seen a lot of people look for a just meaning or a fair meaning in all of it. And it's not to say that there isn't one to be found, but as we can see, when things are tumultuous and there's chaos at foot, things are not on equal ground. And that can be really unnerving for someone whose goal or job is to create an equilibrium in the world. The other type of person I've seen respond to these events are those who have recommitted. And a recommitment might look like letting go. It might look like going all in. It doesn't mean that you've spent the last 6 months learning a new language or mastering sourdough. I know I have not. It doesn't mean you've written a book or a novel. And it also doesn't mean that if you haven't done those things that you haven't been committed. That's not recommitment. Recommitment comes from clarity and trust. These are people who feel more clear. Even if the events of the year have created a mass amount of uncertainty, they feel more clarity in the midst of it. These are people who have made some really tough decisions, like closing businesses or starting businesses. These are people who have found new meaning in their life. It's not to rearrange the events of the world and decide how you want to decipher it so you feel better about it. I mean, it's bringing the events of the world into yourself and going, wow, I'm so grateful for, or look what I get to continue to show up for. That's finding new meaning. There are people who've made scary choices. Risk is always afoot if you are going to move towards something you want in your life. There's always a risk because there's the risk of not getting it. There's a risk of failing. There's the risk of not being good at it. There's the risk of it not fulfilling you in the way you thought it would, or the bigger risk, not going for it at all. These are people who got very desirous, meaning that this year maybe wasn't about blowing their financial goals out of the water or finally launching some big program. Maybe there were people who found a deep love of gardening or found a new kinship with their kids or found that there was community in their backyard all along. Right? So we got desirous. And these are people who quit waiting. This is a year to lean in, to get involved. And these are people who have relinquished any form of excuse or fear or justification or story and just got going. I don't know where in your year you are. I don't know if you're playing for defeat or giving hope one last stand. And I hope you choose the latter for no other reason than it keeps the light on and the door open. Because I can also tell you that in a threshold year of uncertainty, when the things that we have a lot of stock in that give us a sense of self crumble, we start to look at how others do life. We start to look for those members of our community and our society who found more groundedness, who have the resiliency to use their light to continue to guide those of us who maybe felt a bit of a wobble. And I know that this year, for me at least, coaching in particular is certainly not a luxury item. It is an absolute necessity for me to feel seen and heard, but to also remind people of their innate ability and their goodness and their worth, even in the midst of something that we can't plan. As a coach, you have the opportunity in times like these to lend out your human brain, lend out your cognition, your groundedness, your ability to see through the dark, be a light in the storm. You have that 30,000 foot perspective. You don't have outcomes and resolutions. Nobody does. We're creating it as we go. But you take the stand of, I will support the creation of whatever is new. This year has shown us big gaps and cracks and holes in our systems and in ourselves and in the way that we support the collective. And I think one of the roles of a coach is to say, how are we going to mend this? How are we going to sew this back together in a way that actually serves the collective whole? So for today, I will leave you with this, and this is a bit long, but I'm going to read it to you. It's a small mantra I wrote before 2020 ensued, and I even have it printed on cards. If you want me to pop one in the mail to you with a little note of encouragement, just comment below and we'll reach out for your address. I'm more than happy to show up in your, not your email, in your actual mailbox and give you a little nudge as we move into this almost last season of the year. And so if I could give you any encouragement for now, it would be this. I want you to trust yourself and your choices. I want you to create your life and uncreate anything no longer serving you. I want you to travel, play, explore, and create your own grand adventure. I want you to feel creatively and financially free and worthy of that freedom. I want you to nourish your mind and body so that you exude love of life from the inside out. I want you to demonstrate with your life your values and deepest held beliefs about what you're capable of. I want you to overflow with gratitude for the community you surround yourself with. I want you to know you are worth fully knowing and choosing every day. I want you to know that your one wild and magical life matters. And in choosing to matter, you teach others to do the same. I want you to know you are valuable and your calling is a beautiful gift to you and all living things. I want you to know you're enough and allowed to be magnificently brave with your life. Wherever you are, I hope that this finds a little pocket of something for you today. And for those who are interested in coming along on a longer journey with me, we still have some spots in the 10-month mentorship, Awaken Your Practice. It does start on Thursday, and I'm looking for a handful, not quite, a few more of coaches who are interested in participating. And you can look at all the details of that program. You do have to submit an application. We do need to get on the phone, so we only have a couple days left to do that. You can go to awakenyourpractice.com/mentorship. And for those who have asked, the next program will start next fall. So it's an annual only. All right, y'all. Happy Monday, wherever this may find you. And I will see you back here in October. I'm going to take a little pause for a couple of weeks while I kick off this program before I endeavor on another retreat. And I'll be back monthly. So we'll be doing these messages monthly instead of weekly. I've also got some new exciting things coming out in the community this season. Stay tuned. Thank you for being here. Take care. Happy fall. Bye.